la 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 la. La 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 la. Iabi iabi iabawe, iaba iabawe, iabi iabi iabawe, iaba iabawe, iabandi malaika, iaba iabawe, nari gusinzira, iaba iabawe.
يلا تنام يلا تنام يذبح لك طير الحمام روح يا حمام لا تصدق نضحك عريمة لا تنام ريمة ريمة الحندقة شعرك أشقر ومنقى ويلي بيحبك بيبوسك واللي بعدك شو بيترقى
No llores, mi niña, no llores, mi amor, no llores, pedazo de mi corazón. No llores, mi niña, cabeza de ayote. Si no te dormís, te come el coyote. No llores, mi niña. Iabi, iabi, iabawe.
Hari indirimbo mama wanje yandirimbiraga ngiye kuryama. Ubu sinibuka amagambo yayo. Si ngombwa. N'ubundi sindi buryame.
في تهليلة كانت تغني لي إياها أمي قبل ما أنام بس ماني متذكر كلماتها وأصلاً مو ضروري أتذكر لأنه ما حنام.
Hay una canción de cuna que mi mamá cantaba. No me recuerdo las palabras, no las necesito. No voy a dormir.
There is a lullaby my mother used to sing. I cannot remember the words right now. I don't need them anyways. I won't be sleeping. Is this where the line starts?
Depends. What do you mean where it starts?
Like, where is the beginning of the line?
My line started a few months ago.
When mine started, I was in bed asleep. The walls were shaking.
My parents sat us down and told us why it was a good time for us to go.
It was the first time I ever packed a bag.
They told me what I should say if anyone stopped me.
Plenty of people stopped me.
I hid money inside my shoe.
I had never been on a boat before.
Seen snow before.
Slept outside before.
Missed breakfast before.
I had never missed home before.
My line started there too, I guess. Unknown, a little scared, but...
You can tell where people come from by how they wait in a line. The less people have, the closer the line becomes until you meet the people who have nothing, who stand so close they begin to overlap.
But what?
This is the place we're supposed to be now, right?
Inshallah, Habibti, this is the place.
I guess.
Did I miss anything?
The man with the suit came. He showed us where all the forms were.
More forms, always with the forms.
You see, a great society is made out of forms. I want to use the bathroom. Do you have the right piece of paper?
Funny guy.
So what did he say?
We have to use pen. If we need an interpreter, they can try and find one, but no guarantees.
Did he say what the forms were for?
He gave a little speech, weird little speech. He'd practiced the speech.
Okay there, everyone. You're all gonna have to fill out these papers, basically.
Why is everything always basically with these people? Nothing has been basic since I left home.
Basically, these papers are gonna tell us where you've been, what you've been doing, what or who you're bringing with you, and all the information we're gonna need to make an informed decision about your case.
Then he takes a few steps towards the door, adjusts his pants, and
Why
turns
do you have
back.
to tell us he adjusted his pants?
Because he did, like he was getting ready to do some heavy lifting. And then he turns around and says, it's like if you were inviting someone to your house. If you had a house, it'd be the same thing. You'd want to know what they were doing in your neighborhood, how long they expected to stay, whose house they were in before, and if they were cool when they were there. And they want you to pay $160 for the privilege of telling you this information and call it a filing fee. Just exactly what I did back home. Bienvenida, stranger. Here's a Fanta and also, some tear gas. Do you want to use the bathroom? Don't forget the forms.
Funny again. She's trying to hear what's needed. What did he say?
Some more things about pens and translators and his house and taking care of his house. And then he finished off with, oh, we're happy to have you here. We just need to know a few things, a few details. All you have to do is tell us what brought you here.
I was walking in a forest.
On a rocky shoreline.
The voices outside were speaking French. Maybe some were Spanish, but we couldn't see anything.
I have seen Macedonia on the map, and they say but I was asleep.
We waited in Alexandria for 3 months.
There are so many kittens on the island.
There are no signs on the water. I couldn't tell you
A map is a thing to tell you where you are going.
where you have been.
Where you are right now.
A map is a drawing on a piece of paper that tells you where safety is.
A map is a blue dot on a cell phone screen.
A map is a rumor you heard that there is a man who sits in the park wearing a red hat. He can get you papers.
Really?
A map is having a face that looks like the photo on the temporary passport you bought with all your money from the man with the red hat.
A map is having a face that doesn't arouse suspicion.
Or a smile that makes a policeman overlook you this time.
A map is knowing all the right answers to put in the form at the border.
A map is having a story that impresses people. I want to be a doctor.
A map is all the different papers you will need, you will fill out tests.
Paper is the most important thing. I keep it in a plastic bag inside the pocket of my backpack, dry and safe, even when I am not. Everywhere we go, men in uniform stop and ask me for paper. Money folded into palms of hands, vaccination records. Yes, I went to high school. See, there is my father's name. Please, can you call this number for me? I know my passport has expired. So has my country. If I had a visa, that piece of paper would be stronger than all the others, and I would hold it in front of me like an umbrella. But better to keep it in a plastic bag, to keep it dry and safe.
A map is a plastic bag that keeps all the other maps.
I once had a map hand-drawn in ink that is now washed away. Just a blur of what I wanted.
A map is every time you can say to someone where you want to go.
I have an uncle who drives a taxi. He can get you anywhere you need. After all, he got himself to the city and became a taxi driver, and there was no map for that.
A map is when your face looks like the faces of the people you are talking to, even when your accent doesn't.
A map is a skill. Do you think Mo Farah would be British if he couldn't run so fast?
Weren't his parents born in British Somaliland?
Don't make it complicated.
The British made it complicated.
Nibjo.
Somebody told me football is a religion here. The players are their gods. But sometimes they're calling the football players monkeys. Balotelli was crying when they threw bananas. I cannot play as well as them. I am no god. I wonder what they will call me.
Is sadness a map?
When people say it's women or children, that always seems to open hearts.
Open hearts are a map, and rare.
I have a full deck of SIM cards. I plug each of them into my phone and talk to a different country. Each one is a gamble, a lottery ticket to a friendly voice.
I keep all my papers in my phone, pictures of passports and driver's licenses.
I have the Bible on my phone.
God could tell you where to go. God got me this far.
I grew up with holy books. Old men carried them to worship. Here, the only holy books are passports, and I don't know if I want the heaven inside those pages.
Maybe the only map I need is the Lord.
And an immigration officer who believes in the same Lord you do.
My dreams are my maps. Everywhere I want to go, I dreamed of first.
And so you dreamed of a grey immigration office and an endless line?
Y'all need better dreams.
I had a dream on the boat when it was just us and we couldn't see land. It was the thin blue line of the horizon pressing against the sky. And I imagined that the rest of the world had fallen away. And soon, all of Europe would come swimming towards our boat. And they would try to push us out. And we would ask them each in turn for their papers to join us on the orange raft in the middle of the blue water.
I have been so many kinds of lost since I left.
Lost in customs.
In faces, in forests, on water.
I've been lost climbing trains and under tarps.
I've been lost in the holds of a cargo truck.
Lost in hunger, in drought.
In cities.
I have been more kinds of lost than I knew.
Every kind of loss needs a map.
I have been keeping a list of my debts. I owe 17 to the neighbor whose sneakers I borrowed. She won't be needing them, but still. I owe the man who told me that the water would carry me if I let it. I owe the breath in 16 people's lungs who took turns blowing into a raft in between whispers. I owe the gold and silver blankets they gave us when we reached the shores, and for a moment, I was royalty. I owe every one of my uncles who scraped together stories to use at each and every border. I owe my mother for the food she prepared. It only lasted a day, but it will feed me for so much longer. I owe every stranger who smiled at me when I was wearing second-hand clothes. I thought for a moment you had recognized the shirt I was wearing as once yours, and that was almost as warm as home.
It isn't there anymore, I said. What isn't there anymore, she asked. Jess, I replied, knowing that whatever she could name, I would be right.
There should be a space on the form for cousin who is like a brother.
If they want to get to know us, they're going to need a lot more spaces on those forms. Hello, everyone. Hello? Hi, I'm Malaika. If you ask my uncles and aunts where we come from, they will tell you that years and years ago, we came from Egypt. That we had cattle and that we were nomads. Because in every story of our past, we have cattle. My people have cattle dances even. We stretch our arms as wide as the horns, and no one can imagine a past in which they are poor. If you ask my mother, she will tell you that the airlines provided good work, that she could see the world, and that she wore uniforms the color of the ocean. If you ask her, she will tell you that she wondered what it would be like if she had finished school. If she might have been one of the angry passengers asking for more peanuts on the Air France flight. She will tell you that every time she flew and every child she took care of on those long trips with the extra desserts and blankets made her think a little of me waiting for her at home, wondering if any of the planes passing overhead held her. She will tell you that every time she pinned those souvenir wings onto those airplane children, she thought about the wings she wanted to give me so that I could fly wherever I wanted and so that I knew that I was supposed to be on planes and go places. If you ask my mother's father, he will look at you sternly. You see, he had escaped many times worlds that fell apart and so built for himself this kind of safety, this kind of order. He was an army to himself in those days. When he spoke, people listened. And when he told my mother that he would kill her if she were ever pregnant out of wedlock, oh, he meant it. She ran away in the 11th grade with me inside her. But if you ask him now, he will tell you how she escaped another world falling apart. This genocide like he did, but this time in a truck with a red cross on its side. If you ask me, I will tell you that it is because I can act, Because I listen and because I can move people and build on all the ones who we have asked before, who pinned golden wings to me, who built worlds that wouldn't fall apart so easily. If you ask me, I will tell you that it is because when I act, I share the script with my mother and she reads it and asks, Malaika, why do you have to kiss this or that person on screen? I share it, this acting, with all those who we have asked before, and try just a little bit to use the wings that they have given me.